Wow, that's such a cool idea to build. Why didn't I figure it out myself? Let's learn how to build an iPhone.
Round 1.
I am making the front of an iPhone 5S, and I keep it very simple because this phone has a clean old design with a small screen and a thick light frame around it. I use quartz blocks and quartz slabs for the top and bottom parts because quartz is smooth, bright, and very close to the white metal look of an older phone. Slabs are useful because they let me make some parts thinner, and real phones always look better when the edges do not feel too chunky. In the middle, I use black concrete for the screen. Black concrete is perfect here because it has a flat dark color and it does not look noisy. That helps the screen stand out from the white frame. Then I place one more layer behind the front using the same block so the phone has thickness and stops looking like a flat sign. After that, I look at it and think something is missing. The screen is too empty. So I add icons with item frames and items inside them. That works really well because phones need tiny little app details. And item frames are one of the easiest ways to fake a real home screen in Minecraft. Phew, it took so much effort. Great, my iPhone 5S is ready.
Oh, wow!
Joo-hoo! We're gonna build an iPhone today. I love building machinery. Mikey has probably already built his iPhone. Let's have a look. Mikey, is that all you've built in that time? Is that an iPhone 5S?
JJ, you only know how to offend me. By the way, I tried very hard.
Mikey, this is a very old version of the phone, and it doesn't look good.
Oh, that's it. Stop judging. Maybe then you'll show me how to build an iPhone.
Of course, we ran to the place.
JJ, I'm not sure you're going to make it. But in any case, good luck to you. I'll wait for you at the house.
Thanks. Then I'll start. Round 2. I am building a giant iPhone 18, and I begin with the outline because every phone depends on its proportions first. If the rectangle is too wide, it looks like a tablet. If it is too narrow, the screen space feels wrong. I use black concrete for the first contour because the front edge of a phone usually needs a dark border around the display. Black concrete is a strong choice for that job because it has a flat, solid color with no extra pattern to distract the eye. I make the frame huge on purpose, almost like this belongs to a giant because the scale is part of the joke and part of the challenge. A very large phone lets me add app details that would be impossible on a smaller build. While placing the first line, I pay attention to the corners so the shape still feels like a phone and not a random black rectangle. In design, recognizable silhouettes matter a lot. Even before the screen is filled, the viewer should already understand what object this is supposed to be. After the black contour is finished, I add another layer around it using white concrete. This white band becomes the outer body of the phone, and it helps the device look more premium and more readable from far away. White concrete works especially well because its clean surface feels like painted metal or polished ceramic. Using black and white together creates strong contrast, and contrast is one of the most important design tools for electronics. The dark inner edge says screen and display area, while the light outer edge says body and frame. I make this border fairly thick because I want the phone to look massive, almost like an oversized display board. A thicker outer shell also gives me more room later for side buttons and the rear shell. At this point, it is basically a giant frame, like a phone made for a giant person. That idea is funny, but it also helps with the build itself. Large scale allows more detail, and more detail makes the fake phone easier to read for kids watching the video. Now, I begin filling the very bottom part of the screen with cyan wool. Wool is a smart material here because it has a softer texture than concrete, and I want the lower area of the display to feel a little different, almost like a colorful section of the interface. Cyan is bright, calm, and very close to the kind of digital pastel color that works well on phone screens. I do not fill the whole screen at once because this display is going to use several color bands, and that makes it feel more modern and lively than one flat background. In app design, backgrounds often use gradients or sections to guide the eye, and I am trying to recreate that feeling with Minecraft blocks. The wool texture also makes this lower strip feel lighter and more playful. Since the phone is giant, I need strong, simple colors that can be recognized quickly. Small, complicated patterns would get lost. Cyan gives me a clean visual start for the screen and creates a bright base, where the first icons will soon stand out clearly. On top of that cyan strip, I build the first round app icons using red concrete, lime concrete, and white concrete. App icons are some of the most important details on a phone build because they are what turns a plain rectangle into something instantly recognizable as a smartphone. I choose circles for the first icons because round symbols break up the strict rectangle of the phone and make the screen feel more playful. Circles are hard in Minecraft, so I use careful color placement instead of trying to make them too perfect. Red catches the eye quickly, lime feels energetic, and white helps separate one icon from another. Bright app colors are useful because phone screens are meant to be readable fast. A person should not have to search too hard to understand where the apps are. By putting these icons low on the screen, I also create a clear starting row. Rows are helpful in user interface design because they give structure. Even in block form, a well-organized grid makes the screen feel much more believable. Above the first icons, I continue filling the display with cyan concrete. I switch from wool to concrete here on purpose. Concrete has a cleaner, smoother texture than wool, so it helps this next section feel slightly sharper and more digital. That small texture change is useful because giant screens can become boring if the whole background uses only one surface. When different screen zones use related but not identical materials, the display gains depth without losing its simple color theme. Cyan remains the main color because it keeps the lower and middle parts connected. If I change to a completely different tone too early, the screen would look messy instead of layered. I also keep the background broad and open around the app area because icons need breathing room. On a real phone, empty space is important. It helps your eyes understand where one app ends and another begins. Good interface design is not only about what is placed on the screen, it is also about the space left around those things. In this next section, I add 3 more app icons. I start them with white concrete at the base and then mix in lime concrete and blue concrete for extra detail. White is very useful for icon bases because it creates a neutral shape that can hold smaller colored elements on top. That is the same idea many real app logos use. A simple main shape holds 1 or 2 stronger colors so the symbol stays readable. Lime is bright and playful, while blue feels clean and digital. I place these new icons carefully so they do not crowd the first row below. Spacing matters a lot in any phone layout. If icons sit too close together, the screen looks noisy and harder to understand. If they are too far apart, the phone looks empty. I aim for a tidy grid that feels balanced. The giant size of the build makes this educational in a fun way because viewers can clearly see how app arrangement affects readability. A phone screen is not just random logos. It is a planned visual system. Now I move upward again and create another screen section using blue wool. This darker band changes the mood of the display and makes the giant phone feel more advanced. Blue wool is a nice transition after cyan because it is related in color but noticeably deeper. That kind of color shift is useful in design because it creates a gradient effect without needing special shading tools. In this section, I place more app icons made from black concrete, purple concrete, and light blue concrete. These colors give me a wider range of symbols. Black is good for strong outlines or camera-style logos. Purple adds a more playful or social media feeling. Light blue keeps things fresh and readable. I like using several color families on different bands of the screen because it prevents the giant display from feeling flat. It also teaches a simple point about contrast. Some icon colors work better on light backgrounds, and others work better on darker ones. Choosing the background color is just as important as choosing the icon color. I keep extending the display with blue wool and then use purple wool for the remaining area above it. This makes the screen feel like it is shifting upward through different color zones, almost like a big wallpaper gradient. Purple is a strong choice for the upper part because warm, cool colors like blue and purple often look futuristic together. On a giant phone build, broad color changes help break the screen into levels that are easy to read from a distance. I also add several more icons in this area. By now, the screen is starting to look busy in a good way, like a real homepage with many apps waiting to be opened. I still keep the rows organized because a phone should feel structured even when it has lots of content. This section also shows why big background areas matter. The icons need a calm field under them. If the wallpaper pattern was too complex, the logos would disappear. Good screen design always balances decoration and clarity. After the wool sections, I build another band using purple concrete and then place more colorful icons on top of it. Purple concrete is smoother than wool, so this band feels more polished and a bit more modern. That is helpful near the upper part of the display, where I want the screen to feel richer and more finished. App icons in this zone use a wider mix of colors because the background is now stable enough to support them. A strong middle value background like purple can carry bright colors, light colors, and dark colors without losing readability. This is one reason many digital interfaces use gradients or controlled backgrounds. They create zones where different symbols can stand out. I continue thinking about rhythm as I place the icons. Repetition with small changes is a big part of good visual design. If every icon has a completely different size and position, the screen looks chaotic. If they all match too perfectly, it looks boring. I aim for a playful but organized arrangement that still feels like a real smartphone screen. For the top section of the screen, I use purple concrete powder. This block has a softer, dustier look than full concrete, and that difference gives the highest part of the display a slightly lighter visual texture. I like this choice because the top of a phone screen often contains status information or special areas that should feel a little separate from the main app grid. I also finished the upper part of the phone frame using black concrete and white concrete again, so the border feels complete all the way around. Repeating those frame colors at the top is important because it keeps the giant device looking like one object with a clear shell around the colorful display. Then, I fill the remaining top gaps with more purple concrete powder, so the screen background looks continuous. This stage is all about finishing the large color blocks before the small details get too complicated. On any build, it is smart to solve the big shapes first. Small decorations work much better when the main structure and the main color zones are already stable. On the front of the screen, I add a square window-like detail using light blue concrete and blue concrete. This could work as a widget, a folder, or a special highlighted app area. I make it square because squares and rounded icons together create a more interesting interface. If everything on the screen is the same shape, the layout becomes repetitive. A larger square element also gives the eye a place to rest, almost like a featured section on the home page. Light blue and blue are good choices here because they fit the existing screen palette and still stand out against the purple area around them. This is a simple lesson in user interface design. Bigger elements should not always use totally new colors. Often they work best when they use familiar colors in a stronger or larger form. That way, they feel important without looking out of place. The front of the phone now has not only many apps, but also one larger featured area that helps the whole display look more believable. Near the top of the front, I build the camera using quartz and glass. Quartz works well for the camera body because it is light, smooth, and precise, which helps the small shape stay visible on the huge screen. Glass is the obvious choice for the lens area because lenses need transparency and reflection. Even though this is a front camera on a giant fictional phone, I still treat it like a real product detail. A camera on the front is not just decoration. It helps identify the object as a smartphone from a modern era where video calls and selfies are normal. The camera also adds scale. Tiny technical details on a very large build make the object feel more realistic because they remind viewers how small these parts are on a real phone. I keep the camera shape simple and centered so it feels intentional. A badly placed camera can make a phone look awkward. Good electronics design often depends on small components being lined up carefully with the larger shapes around them. Now, I begin the most fun part of the front, which is detailing the icons. Until now, many of them were mostly colored circles or blocks. That already made the screen look like a phone, but recognizable symbols make it far more convincing. I start with the weather icon and build a cloud and a sun. This is a great app to detail first because weather symbols are simple and easy for children to understand. A round sun and a soft cloud shape communicate the idea immediately. I use light and warm colors so the icon reads well against its background. This step shows something very important about app design. A good icon must be readable at a glance. It cannot depend on tiny, complex art. It should use one or two simple shapes that tell the story fast. Building those shapes in Minecraft is a fun challenge because the blocky style forces the icon to stay simple, and that is often exactly what good icon design needs. After the weather app, I continue adding famous symbols for other apps using different concrete colors. I create a mail icon, a video icon, a Snapchat-style icon, and other familiar shapes. Each one gets its own little design logic. For mail, a clear envelope shape works best because the envelope is already a universal symbol for messages. For video, I use strong geometric forms that suggest a play button or screen. For a social app, a bold character-like silhouette is enough to make it recognizable. What matters most is contrast and simplicity. If two colors fight too much, or if the symbol is too tiny, the icon becomes hard to read. I also keep thinking about each icon as part of a row. The icons should be interesting on their own, but they should not overwhelm the whole screen. This is one of the core lessons of interface design. A home screen is a collection of little visual stories, yet those stories still need to live together peacefully inside one larger composition. Once the front details feel strong enough, I move to the back of the iPhone 18. I begin by adding another white concrete frame. This rear border is important because real phones are objects with front and back shells, not just giant display boards. A back frame helps the device feel thick, premium, and manufactured. I keep using white concrete because it remains the cleanest and most phone-like material for the body. It also matches the front shell, which is essential for consistency. A product should feel like one designed object from every angle. After outlining the back, I start filling the rear cover from the bottom with white concrete. At first, I place the blocks manually because I want to test the proportions and make sure the surface looks right. Manual filling is useful at the beginning of a large flat area because it gives me time to notice mistakes in the border, corners, or camera zone before the whole section is closed. The phone now starts becoming a true giant solid object instead of just a front facade. After filling about a quarter of the back by hand, I remember that this is exactly the kind of job where a command helps. Large flat surfaces do not always need manual placement if the design decision is already clear. So I use a command to fill the rest of the back cover with white concrete. Commands are powerful because they save time on repetitive work and let me focus more attention on the details that actually teach something. This is a useful lesson in large Minecraft builds. Good builders do not only know materials and shapes, they also know when to use the right tool for the scale of the task. The back cover needs to be clean and consistent, and a command does that perfectly. Once the whole rear is filled, the iPhone 18 feels much more complete. The front has all the colorful logic of a screen, and the back now has the calm, smooth surface that many real smartphones use to look elegant. The contrast between busy front and simple back is good product design, but roughly in the middle of the back, I remove white concrete blocks in the shape of a bitten apple. This is one of the most important branding steps on the whole build because the logo is what makes the phone instantly recognizable from behind. To give the symbol stronger detail, I place black chiseled bits on wool inside the cutout area. That technique is very effective because the chiseled bits allow a more precise and delicate shape than full blocks. The black color also creates strong contrast against the white body, which helps the logo stay sharp and readable. Branding on electronics usually works best when it is simple, centered, and clean. A logo should not fight the rest of the phone. It should quietly confirm the identity of the product. The bitten shape matters too. Small changes in silhouette are enough to make a familiar logo recognizable. This is another good design lesson. People often identify symbols by outline first, not by texture or small details. A clear silhouette does most of the work. Now, I build the rear cameras on the upper left side. I create 2 cameras and then frame them with light gray concrete. Putting the camera module in the corner is a very typical smartphone design move because it leaves the center of the back open for branding and keeps the technical cluster in one clear place. The light gray frame is useful because it separates the camera area from the white body without being as harsh as black. Inside each camera, I build the lenses using light gray concrete and white concrete. Then, I fill parts with light gray and gray glass to create the reflective lens effect. Glass is important here because lenses need shine and depth. The concrete shapes around them provide structure, while the glass gives the idea of optical surfaces. Finally, I move to the sides of the phone and place light gray chiseled bits to create the power and volume buttons. Side buttons are small details, but they matter because they make the phone feel functional from every angle. A device should not only look like a phone, it should also look usable in your hand, even when it is giant. Great! My iPhone 18 is ready. It's time for me to show his t-shirts.
Wow, JJ, you've got the most elaborate iPhone 18 that I see as a building in Minecraft. Will you teach me how to build so well?
Thank you, Mikey. I'm very glad that you liked my building. Of course, if you watch this video, you will understand exactly how to build the same building. Well, I think it's time for us to finish.
Yes, JJ, you're right!
Subscribe and like. Bye-bye.